Tolulope Davids, CEO in Stake.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Very glad to have you.
With global spending on digital transformation technologies expected to cross about 2.1 billion by 2019, that's this year, and over 2020, how much of a commitment do you expect from the incoming government, because we're counting down to the elections holding on Saturday? At the end of the day, Ruka mentioned areas of specialization, but we can't have areas of specialization if we don't have the funding to train these individuals to become pros at their different areas of specialty.
Okay, I think for me, I want to look at it from the perspective of how much is really required from government. How much, what do I mean by how much? How much input do we really require, do we really need from the government? Government's roles and responsibility is not really to spend on IT infrastructure. And I will explain that. It's very simple. They just need to create enabling environments, as it were. And what are these enabling environments? There are private entities that are really interested, in investing in ICT. Government needs to create enabling environment by giving them few things, which I will quickly talk about. Tax cuts is one idea that government can really introduce. So if you really want to put, a large chunk of investment into infrastructure, government can say, oh, you have a tax holiday for say 5 years, to compensate for what you are bringing on board. So about commitments from this new administration that will kickstart in few days, I want them to start looking at areas of creating enabling environments. Things around tax cuts, things around, single digits interest rates when they are lending either from the purse of government or from infrastructure bank in Nigeria, for instance. Those are the areas I'm looking at it from.
Let me ask this. There is a projection that by 2020, ICT is playing a critical role in pushing the nation's economy to make Nigeria one of the leading economies in the world. 2020 is just next year. Yep. Where are we with that? Let me bring that question to Tolu.
I don't think we are realistic, with some of these projections. And I must be, how will I put it? I must be very, very frank here. If we are to achieve a goal that is meant for 2020, which is just about few months, to where we are, one will have think at this stage, we'll start seeing metrics that we can validate that is real. It is not real, so I'm going to, push my line of thought into saying realistically, we are still at infancy stage. What do we need to do, to start working towards that goal? Yes, we may not be able to achieve 2020, which is realistically, but we can begin to build vision, goals, maybe towards the next 10 years.
Well, but before we can build for that goal, isn't it right that we take stock of how far we've come, where we are at? Because as it is now, is the ICT truly helping the economy push to become the leading economy in Nigeria? So where are we? That's the question. And if we're to make projection, on what basis are we going to be making that projection?
Okay, if we say where are we, let's just we will not be able at this stage to look at all the indices, but I will pick one, for instance.
A little bit of insight now. The Nigeria Communications Commission, as at April last year, said that quarterly contribution of the ICT sector to Nigeria's GDP increased to 1.6 trillion naira, away from 1.4 trillion naira. That means that the sector contributed about 10%. That's still a large chunk of the GDP.
Okay, David, let me bring this to you. If you say it's 10%, I agree. Measure of economy, we have to be realistic when it comes to measuring economy. I will pick one sector as an example, which I'm currently playing in, which is the logistic part, providing solution for logistics. The logistic industry is estimated to worth $80 billion, which is a very big, value when you look at it. The likes of 360 Cobos, they are raising huge investments into Africa to solve the problem. But when we come down to look at this 80 billion, how much of it, are we realizing currently? If we look at the question my sister asked, today we are playing around between 100 billion and 200 billion, which is very small compared to what the industry was, as it were. Now, how do we know where we are if we look at that basis alone? If we know where we are, then we need to start building. How can we get to the 80 billion? 80 billion compared to 8.8 trillion Nigerian budget is, you understand what I'm trying to say? Exactly. So we need to start looking at the future, and looking at that future is not lacking in Nigerian energy or the youth energy or the business owner when it comes to ICT. It's lacking in leadership to whip us, through that direction of realization.
We're still going to pick your thoughts on it, but let's just go on this short break.
After that, but the Ministry of Trade and Investment has said, well, Lagos State is a smart city as well. Yes, we don't see what really makes it smart, essentially. And in our previous conversation, we were also talking about the Internet of Things. Now, how are we supposed to be looking at the future with the mind of providing jobs or creating jobs at the end of the day? Because if we have the Internet of Things and a whole lot more to make life much more easier, it means some way, somehow, we are feeding into utilizing our manpower. So how should we target our energies right?
Okay, just to quickly comment on what he has said, the way to go is leveraging on technology to create jobs. And how? Which is what you're asking. First of all, to buttress his points, we need to start looking at, IT literacy. This word IT is just information technology. In other words, you can call it ICT, information communication technology. It does not just stand for only maybe computer engineers or developers. It's for everybody. And immediately we start seeing it like that this is our new oil. That's when we start, moving in the right direction. And how? How means all of us must get involved. And one thing, even older technology can help us in Nigeria. We are at advantage. I will talk about Nigeria first before going into Lagos. Nigeria as a whole, broadband penetration is low. We all know that. The real internet penetration is equally low. But there are other technology that we can adopt. Some of them are even more than 20 years old. If you pick USSD, for example, if you are in Kafansha or you are in Maiduguri, even if you don't have real internet, you can have USSD. Meaning that all of those apps, all of those solutions that we now build now, people can talk to it using a GSM technology from telcos. That's one. When you now come to Lagos, for instance, Lagos isn't a smart city yet. I don't want to join issues with politicians. If you want to evaluate a smart city, one key thing is about e-process. E-process doesn't just about one particular process. It cuts across almost every sectors. So if you pick it from, say, policing system, you have to automate it. If you pick it from even what do they call LOMA, refuse and waste management, you have to automate it. A whole lot more. Security in terms of not an army man putting a gun up there. In terms of investigation, in terms of taking feeds of what happened, monitoring, and all that. You have to automate it. Judiciary system, you have to automate it. We could go on and on and on and on like that. All that is lacking. Even transport, you can automate it. And the point I'm making is, for a city to be smart, then means that something can talk to those processes. So if you slap me, I don't have to, sorry, my energy is much. I don't have to go report in a police station. That is probably like 30 minutes. We all know the gridlock in Lagos. Just talk to a system, and then the system will respond back. Before you know it, the police are there.
So you're basically saying we're not there yet.
We are not there yet. And what can we do to get there? Those are what we need to lock ourselves up and then look at the real blueprints that can take us there.
Talking about the real blueprint, we're also looking at the ICT roadmap 2017 to 2020. It's elapsing next year. In our previous conversation as well, this also raised its head. So what about the area of having customer experience experts as well? Because online shopping keeps on taking more and more simple yet complex routes, and we always have to find new ways of enticing our customers. And then we would also like you to have your thought on remote controlled vehicles or operations, just like the emergence of drones as well. What areas do you think would help make these thrive much more, and we can earn as much as possible, creating jobs as well?
Okay, I'll first of all talk about the customer service, or per se, let me call it customer touch points. As we evolve, you know, technologically, using technology to power a lot of businesses, we realize that a lot of people that are now using those applications or those platforms, they need to have a touch point. And in most cases, from my experience, when you go to check how you can actually reach a company, you see it's extremely difficult in this side of the world. And what can we do to make the creation of jobs happen
bridge
faster?
The gap?
Yeah. Today, Amazon is an example. There are millions of people working as a customer service agent. Most of them work from home in US. Mom, you know, taking care of their babies, and they are doing part-time job with Amazon, trying to provide customer service. What people want at the first level of engagement in customer service is actually somebody they can report their case to, not the person that will solve it. Now, that alone can create millions of jobs. As we have a lot of e-platforms, we can encourage a lot of people through training and all of that. Companies can, you know, put them as work from home customer agents, and then they provide that service satisfactorily. If the cases is beyond the FAQs, they can pass it on to the people at the back end, you know, to provide the real solution. If we also go to the next question, which is about drones and all of that.
Unmanned vehicles, yeah.
First of all, I want to make a comment on our laws. Most of the laws that that guides technology generally in Nigeria are obsolete, and we must be frank with ourselves. If you bring for agrotech company, if you bring a drone to monitor your farm, you see that the law does not support you. There are a whole lot. If you just like we are doing now, the live TV, you will see, if you go to the law that actually, you know, established TV station, you will see it may not support some of those new things that we are creating. First of all, we need to revamp our law. And I'm going to speak to that from the one that I know. Take NOTAP as an example. NOTAP is a National Office for... Okay, take NOTAP for example. NOTAP is to actually encourage that you don't acquire technology equipment or software without a benefit to the indigents or the citizens of the country. But are we really following those laws? Maybe the answer is no. You will see a technology company coming from Asia to sell in Nigeria, rather than getting a certain percentage of Nigeria to get involved in those jobs. They go and get only visiting visa to enter Nigeria, and then you see them doing that job, those jobs themselves. I think I'll hold my thoughts.
So much, you have so much
because I have a lot of things, that borders around how we run technology businesses in Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And it's been a pleasure speaking with Rukame as well as Tolulope. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And that wraps up the conversation for tonight.
Yes, indeed.
We've been looking at ICT.
I've been properly educated.
Well, that's all we can take on Nigeria Decides tonight. Join us tomorrow on Nigeria Decides, same time at 6 p.m. I'm David Alabimene. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Felicity Ezeowike. Thank you for your company.